I'm very happy to welcome you all at this presentation. My name is Vika Miran. I'm the project manager at n-ost, and I will make this introductory, hopefully not super very boring speech, and then I will give a word to my colleague from n-ost, Marta, who will facilitate today's presentation. So we are here to celebrate the finalization of the second round of stipends. And today, all the participants will present the results of their work. And hopefully we can exchange what were the difficulties, what were the super findings and unexpected situations on this way. And we will see what people decided to spend their time and energy for. And a few technical rules. Please mute yourself. Well, it's been a while since I've participated in this kind of huge Zoom meeting, so I'm kind of going to my background memory. What is ethically important to announce? That please mute yourself and name yourself, and the meeting is recorded, as you could see, for the future generations. And if you want to say something later during the discussion, please raise your virtual hand. And also, in case something will go wrong or we will have undesired guests, we keep right to just kick people off. And that's it probably. And now shortly, for those of you who are not familiar with the project, with its aims, with who are staying behind, few lines about who is organizing all this. n-ost is a European journalistic network. This is a media NGO, and it's focused on Eastern Europe and committed to cross-border and multi-perspective reporting. n-ost connects journalists and media, supports research, and provides trainings. We have the main office in Berlin, Germany, which is also a journalistic hub. So in case you want to have a space to work or to use some equipment for your journalistic work, please write us an email and it will be possible. And this particular project we are presented today has a name, History Unit, Reframing Queer Narratives in Media. And it addresses the responsibility of media for the spread of homophobic and transphobic narratives under Nazism. And in today's political reality, we have 4 project countries, which are Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, and Germany. And all the materials will be dedicated to these countries, more or less. This project is financially supported by the Foundation Erinnerung, Verantwortung, Zukunft. And we have 2 partners whom I will be also happy to give a word so they can shortly present themselves and also very shortly share with us, like to comment a bit about their role in the project and what does it mean for them. And I would like to first give a word to Valdis, who represents Belarusian NGO in exile, Human Constanta.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I don't know what the time you have there, but yeah, so glad to be here. I'm so happy to see all of you. I'm so sorry that I didn't have an opportunity, a chance to meet all of you during this workshop in Germany because I was still waiting for my asylum application, and now, yeah, I'm granted, but it was, after this workshop that you had. So yeah, I missed a lot, but I heard a lot, and also yeah, I will be so happy to see your projects. We are a human rights organization that was established in Belarus back in 2016, and we decided to work with topics which were not covered by human rights approach and like systematic approach. And those were 3 main topics: human rights of migrants, refugees, and stateless persons in Belarus, or going through Belarus, because there is a huge transit path for refugees. The second topic was digital human rights in digital era, or everything which is connected with digital rights and freedoms. And the third one is a huge and very important for us, is anti-discrimination and human rights education. Now we do way more, and we are in exile for 4.5 years already. But we still continue to do our job, and we added more topics such as right to defend or anti-extremism or misuse of anti-extremism. And for me, it's a huge honor to be part of this project because we believe in power of international cooperation and also education, human rights education, especially because, yeah, my part is trying to bring a human rights approach to this, also to, bring this learning design experience that I have. And also to contribute into respect and fulfillment of human rights of everyone, particularly queer people. And one of the, yeah, to be, short presentation can sound like this.
Amazing. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
And before to present the second person, who is our individual partner, not an organization, but just one person, I want to show you a cover of the latest issue of L-Mag, where L stays for lesbian. And in this very last issue, you can find a column of our Ukrainian partner, the star of journalism, Juliana Skibitska. Juliana, now it's time.
Thank you, Vika. I'm so proud to hear such kind words from you and from another partners and from all these participants. So my name is Juliana Skibitska. I'm journalist, editor, and media trainer from Ukraine. I live in Kiev, and I have worked in journalism for 13 years. I have worked with a lot of independent Ukrainian and not Ukrainian medias like Zaborona, Gramatsky, Babel. I have published in The Guardian, in the rest of world, in the Elmak, as Vika said. So I hope that I have a little bit expertise in journalism, and maybe it's the main role. It is the main role of me in this project, like try to help our participants to improve their ideas, to help them with different, I don't know, different medias, with logic of the story, with structure of the story, etc. So about all these tools of journalism, about my expertise, what I can share with you. But also, I think that I have second very important role is to represent Ukraine in the war, like me, especially like journalists who have worked with human rights topics and especially with queer topics, of course, because during all my work in journalism, I have worked with these topics, and I have worked with medias that were focused on these topics. So yeah, I'm also very happy to see all of you, and I also want to say that I'm really very proud of your materials that you published, but we will tell about it a little bit later. So yeah, that's all.
So after the workshop where different people present here were participating, they had a chance to apply for a stipend to create cross-border journalistic content. And today we will see what are the results of these collaborations. And in order to facilitate the further presentation and discussion, I want to give a word to my amazing colleague, Marta.
Hey everyone, thank you, Vika. Thank you everyone for being here today. And I'm really happy to see not just the project groups, but also interested guests, also from EVZ, also some other people. So very warm welcome to everyone. I'm very happy to have you with us. As you know, these projects are also one of the core things of our whole project, because one thing is bringing together everyone in these workshops, giving them input and everything, but we definitely also want to give people the chance to just create some sustainable output or to actually do something out of this. And as you know, these cross-border projects are very important for us, especially from n-ost perspective, but also in general. So thank you for being here. Thank you for creating things. And I'm very curious about your experience and work. In the second round, we had 15 people, if I counted right, that have been working together in 7 projects. There were different formats, as you will see throughout this presentation. And I'm very happy to see that we see lots of different ways to shine a light on queer realities of our focus regions. We have lots of historic approaches, but also some things that are also presenting challenges that people might face today. And we want to give everyone 5 minutes now. I know that sounds like a little, but you will manage 5 minutes to present your project. And afterwards, we will have some time to discuss some questions. I've prepared something, and of course, it will also be open for questions from the audience. In case there's anything you want to ask, just remember for this round in the end, keep it until then. You can also write in the chat and we will take care of this later on. So let's see what we have. And I would love to start with Fides, Leo, and Gosia. I saw Gosia is presenting probably. Just to give some short introduction, these 3 are a great example of this cross-border collaboration. We have 3 people working together from different cities, countries on 2 pieces as far as I see. And it's very nice to see that you took on one hand this historic look on different queer identities that we have in Poland and in Germany, but also you took this whole meta level that we're also always discussing of queerphobic narratives and what it actually means today with this example of AfD. So the floor is yours. Please go ahead. 5 minutes for you.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And again, hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you again. I will try to share my screen now. Please let me know if it works. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
The full screen? Okay, perfect. Yes, as Marta has already said, I'm representing a group today. There were 3 of us, me, Fides Schopp, and Leo Paulsen, who can't be with us today, unfortunately, because of work obligations. Today, I will be talking about a project, which, as you can see, was called Trans, Gender, Queer and Lesbian Identities in Poland and Germany since the 19th century. And first, I will present the premises of our project. Next, I will move on to discuss our workflow, and then I will give you a brief overview of our publications. There are actually 2 or 3, it depends on how you look at it, but I will talk about it later. So, as the title suggests, the aim of our project was to tell the story of how trans, gender, queer and lesbian lives and identities intersected and connected in Germany and Poland from 19th century until today. The idea of this project appeared first during our workshop in Germany, where we talked unofficially about trans exclusion within lesbian communities in contemporary Germany and Poland. We noticed that we share some similar experiences and observations, and agreed that all 3 of us wish to engage in a project which will serve as a counter-argument to these transphobic narratives. Therefore, our idea was to show intersection of trans, gender, queer and lesbian lives in a historical perspective and to connect them with the present. Our aim was to bring out traces of historical strategies of solidarity among these groups, but also to demonstrate the empowering potential of such stories in the face of rising fascism in Europe and Eastern Europe. So, as I mentioned before, our group consisted of 3 people, each of us, of course, with their own experiences and expectations. Neither of us has ever worked in such an international project before, and our topic was quite broad. Therefore, our main challenge was to narrow down our possibilities and expectations and establish a workflow which would allow us to meet our objectives in time. I won't read the bios. I hope it's enough that they are visible on the screen. In the following months, we encountered some difficulties with publishing in the places we thought of at the beginning. I won't elaborate on that now because maybe there will be time after the presentation to talk about it. However, we managed to successfully publish 3 articles and achieve our goals, I think. So on the current slide, you can see our 3 publications. We published them in late April, early May online on 2 German-speaking political blogs and 1 in print in a Polish queer women's cultural magazine. I have it with me, so I can show it to you, but I don't know if you can see me and my presentation at the same time. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so it's here, and I think it's very beautiful, but the article is here. Yeah. And it's 6 pages in total, so it's quite big. The articles were based on a joint text that we wrote together in English, but each of them offered a slightly different angle. While the German ones were more focused on current politics, especially right-wing, the Polish one provided a more detailed account of trans, genderqueer, and lesbian cultural history. On this slide, you can see some of our interviewees and heroes. These interviews included the one with historian Joanna Ostrowska, who I suppose doesn't need an introduction here, and 2 contemporary German activists. The first one is Janka Kluge, a writer from Stuttgart who was born in the late 50s and gave us a perspective on post-war German trans history. And the second one was Bella, who currently works in a lesbian bar in Stuttgart and talked about the challenges of making it a safe place for trans people. We also recall many historical biographies, for example, that of Maria Godziewiczówna, Lotte Ham, C.A., Lidii Bakrow, or Krystyna Modrzewska. This serves us to show how trans, genderqueer, and lesbian identities were shaped in their time, but they also depict the imminent fluidity of queerness and therefore challenge narratives based on a conception of gender binary as something natural. As for the visual materials, our texts are accompanied by collages created by Jona Wendel, an illustrator from Germany. They feature archival material, which will be credited on the next slide. So this is how we got to the end of the presentation. Here you can see all of the photo credits. And if you have any questions, please feel free to either ask later or use the email provided. Thank you for your attention, and I'm curious to hear the next presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's a great example of how you actually use all these sources and all these things that we were also working on in this workshop. I'm very happy to hear that you were speaking to Joanna Ostrowska as well, as others have, as we will see later on. And I think that's also one takeaway from our workshops. I hope this visibility of queer history, that's something you've been working on. And that's actually something that several other projects have been dealing with, especially Eastern Queer Europe. And I would ask, I think it's Emanuela, if I see it correctly, who will be presenting their work. Please go ahead.
Hey everyone. I'm wondering if Dasha is with us now because we are cooperating. Dasha is presenting. Here you are. Hello, honey. And some of you might not know me from the stipend in Germany because I wasn't there, but I am part of the team with Ula, whom you met, but who cannot be here, and with Dasha, and 3 of us create project Eastern Queer Europe. That We are very happy to run since, well, actually a little bit over a year now. We met during first n-ost stipend and created both group and this idea that created a project that aims to both research, reclaim and reconnect history of Eastern and Central Europe, focusing, and we are trying to have this focus not only on the history of privilege, so the people that we know from the literature, from their letters, from books, but also less privileged ones. So for example, using some criminal archival materials or researching the topics that are not as visible in media, like for example, Zine culture as well. So during the second round of project, we created 12 video essays and posts that focuses on many different protagonists, histories and situations, touching very different topics from different places in the region. We are the team of people from Poland and Belarus, but we also work on topics connected with Hungary, Czech Republic, Romania. There was some Lithuanian and Ukrainian touch on the way as well, and we hope to bring more of it in the future. And we managed not only because Eastern Europe started as the social media project and it was made to be mostly the social media one, but we managed to create a landscape in which Eastern Europe now is not only social media project, but it is also project with the help of which we actually wrote some few articles. We created some few workshops in Poland and Germany, and even cooperated in the theater on the spectacle about one of our protagonists, Eva Kochever. And now I will let Dasha show you a little bit of our dashing statistics and comments that we received.
Dasha, we cannot hear you, just in case you're already talking.
So maybe I will start and I will wait for you, Dasha, and whenever you are ready and the sound works for you, I will continue and I will improvise a little bit because I wasn't prepared for that part. Well, so we see that our content actually do resonate and is needed and is part of some transnational discourse on how we portray queer history of protagonists that are not very mainstream, that are not shown through the Western context, through the American context, and have different lenses. Many of these histories, even though they had some, like they are now known by some people, some of them are in the books, we know about some stories, but there is no connection and not many people dig into them. And we receive really a lot of comments stating that people, even though they are like, for example, from the same region or the same place, they never heard of that story. So we also, it's one of the reasons we are committed to working on that project, that we see how it really writes up the day. And we can move further. So Dasha texted me that their microphone doesn't work. So yeah. Dasha, can you move to the statistics, please? Thank you very much. Since our project is not brand new, we are running it since the first n-ost stipend. We see some little bit of a difference in the following, and the reach out of the project may be showing a little bit that this material is needed and reaching a little bit further. So on both platforms, because we cooperate mostly on Instagram and TikTok, we gained some extra followers, and our following is mostly from Poland, Germany, Belarus, but also from different countries like Hungary and Ukraine, and we get those voices as well. And we had quite plenty of the views and interactions that you can see there, so maybe I will not speak too much about it. And well, thank you very much for the chance to present our project to you. there were a QR codes that maybe can help you connect with us, but in case you did it, we are called Eastern Queer both on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you very much, and thanks for improvising. I think Pavel also shared the links to both Insta and TikTok, so please feel free to join and have a look yourself. And thanks very much for presenting, and we're very happy to have you with us already the second time. This idea of presenting biographies of people or voices that have been silenced or not were not too visible, that's exactly what others have been doing, such as Kio, who I would invite to present next. So Kio chose a different format. Kio was working on a radio piece, which is on another queer biography in Halle in Germany. So please go ahead, the stage is yours. We're curious.
Okay, I think I need the permission to share my screen.
Also, anyone who might need this permission could also just briefly write to Pavel, and then we can sort it out already before. Thanks for this. All right, floor is yours.
Yeah, I hope it works. Wait a second. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I made an audio piece which got, I think, announced as a podcast. I think it's a little bit different because it's more complex than just a podcast, because it's not only me talking, but also people I interviewed. And it's called Gaps in Remembrance, Queer Biographies During National Socialism. And the idea and the concept also evolved in the workshop that we did. And I was thinking about a Unifilm project about biographies behind stumbling stones in Halle an der Saale, where I study. And I knew that in like one part of my studies, I have to make a short movie about one biography behind a stumbling stone in Halle. So I was thinking about, you know, like thinking the two things together, how many queer biographies during National Socialism are actually visible in Halle through a stumbling stone. And like it surprised me, of course, not that there's only one stepping stone dedicated to a queer person in Halle. So I was focusing very much on the stepping stone, and I found Kurt Koch, who got like this stepping stone dedicated. And I was collecting material about the case, Kurt Koch, and digging into the history. And yeah, so I was thinking, like, if I do this movie for my university, I can also use the audio material for making an audio piece, because I'm very much into audio stuff. So I chose this way to, yeah, try and narrate the history of Kurt Koch and queer people during World War II. And the obstacles I faced, and also the research phase, it was quite difficult because, of course, I had to find suitable interview partners who can tell us the story about Kurt Koch and also are kind of like experts in history of queer people during World War II. So from the workshop, I, of course, thought immediately about Joanna Ostrowska and asked her if she would be willing to make an interview with me. And my second interview partner, I chose Jürgen Wenke, because he was the person who actually did the research on the biography for the stepping stone about Kurt Koch. Furthermore, there were, of course, no time witnesses to be found, because there was no oral history about Kurt Koch himself, because the story was for so many years and decades not told. There was nobody to be found who actually knew him, who could, I don't know, share some personal information about him. So I was actually thrown back to my two interview partners. There was a little bit of archive material, which isn't very useful for an audio piece, because like there were pictures about the streets where Kurt Koch lived in Halle, for example, but it's very hard or like almost impossible to make it visible on an audio level. So I was like, okay, shit, I only have two interview partners who will talk about history and about research. Like this will be so dry to hear. And so in my process, I was thinking a lot about the question, how can we tell stories vividly and also interestingly when we only have dead material, and how can we tell these stories on an oral level. So I think it was quite a big challenge for an audio piece to have this topic, but in the end it all turned out quite well, because I faced a lot of surprises during my journey. Because I realized that the material and the topic can be told perfectly through third ones, because like the interview partners, they were so interesting and they could tell so interestingly about their work and about their passion and like what obstacles they faced during their research phases. So it was actually kind of like a story in the story to tell the story of the historians and researchers itself. And I also realized that it's all about the protagonists that you choose, because like if they can tell their story interestingly, it's like, you know, you don't have to do a lot, but you only have to arrange the material. So yeah, both of my interview partners, they were kind of a huge gift for me, because otherwise I think the audio piece would have been very, very, boring probably. So yeah, the point of view of the historians and researchers created empathy and interest for the topic and also for the history of Kurt Koch, and maybe also for the work of historians itself. And in the end, I only had to spice up the hard facts with sound elements and divide the different layers of the story. Like, because I had the biography of Kurt Koch, but I also had the story about from the historians and researchers and their work. And there was also the part of history and politics. So I tried to like make it all flow together in this audio piece. So that was actually my work, because everything else was, like I said, kind of a gift from my protagonists. Yes, and the third one doesn't work, kind of. It doesn't, sorry. And the final product was in the end a 42 minutes audio piece. It was not only about Kurt Koch, but also about queer biographies in World War II and the ongoing oppression of queer people after World War II, both in the GDR and the BRD. And it was also about the work and the passion of historians and researchers, and empathizing that queer history is only visible because other people from our community make it visible, and partly even unpaid, because Jürgen Wenke, for example, doesn't get money at all for what he does. Yeah, and the audio piece got played in several community radios in Germany, such as Leipzig, Halle, Chemnitz, and Dresden. And it got around 1,200 clicks on the platform freieradios.net, where all the community radios share their content. And it got also implemented on Jürgen Wenke's website about stumbling stones for gay men. I hope I made 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Even if it's not 5 minutes, it's very interesting to hear everything you just said. So I wouldn't be offended if it was 6 minutes. Thank you very much. I think you already mentioned some parts that I will be coming back to for the question round. But I think your work is definitely a very good example of these layers that we generally try to combine in history unit. It's exactly this question of how do we actually tell things? What is this whole meta level of memory, post-memory, memory culture in different countries and regions? So thank you very much. You already moved to this kind of research approach as well. And I think the next project that we have by Andri and Sasha, Moving Stories, also really brings this very academic approach towards speaking about today's experience and what it means for Ukrainian queers to be on the move. And well, they came up with indeed moving stories, even though it might sound a bit cheesy if I say it like this, but I think it really is. So please, the floor is yours. Go ahead, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Marta.
Thank you.
Troy.
Yeah, I agree that it's cheesy. It was my invention, but I thought that maybe for like if it was like an academic work that would not be appropriate, but for like an article more like a publishing style, I thought that would be actually fitting.
Oh, I actually love it. I was just, yeah, no critique from my side. I just thought the way I said it. Anyways, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I'll share my presentation and I hope you can see it. I'll talk briefly about the idea of the project and then Sasha will follow me. So as you can see, it's about moving stories of LGBTQIA plus people from Ukraine. So what we did, we made an article based on 6 in-depth interviews with people who left Ukraine because of the war. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I will not tell a lot about Ukrainian refugees abroad. We all know there are around 7 million Ukrainian refugees around the world, according to official data right now. And of course, if we are talking about queer people, especially queer refugees, they are in a quite fragile position. So what we did, we interviewed 6 people from different Ukrainian regions with different identities. We have 3 gay men, gay asexual homoromantic men, 2 women, and 1 non-binary person, and all these people are around 37 years old, and they left Ukraine because of the war, but not only in 2022, but also earlier when Russia annexed Crimea and also occupied the east of Ukraine. The stories we recorded were the stories of 6 people, as I already said, but I also have to admit that we don't use real names of these people because the topic is kind of fragile and sensitive, as I already told, and what we also wanted to do to include the stories of transgender people. However, it wasn't possible because some people decided to quit this process after they read the questionnaire, for example. But the stories we had, the story of Serhiy from Luhansk region, who left his hometown and went to Kharkiv in 2015 and later came to Poland, then came back to Kharkiv and planned his life there, but not the worst. Later he had to move to Krakow in Poland. Yeah, the story of Anastasia from Simferopol, who also left her city in 2014, went to Lviv, later to Wrocław in Poland, and now she resides in Halifax in Canada and New Scotland. And the story of Olha from Horlivka, who lived in Donetsk and later from Kharkiv, but after February 2022, she flew to Warsaw and currently lives there. And other three stories of people from also from Kharkiv, Lviv, and from Kyiv, who are currently in Leipzig, in Germany. The story of Marta, a story of Konstantin from Oulu in Finland, and Vitali's story, who is currently in Calgary in Canada as well. We had initial idea to publish this article in German, but it was kind of challengeable experience, and maybe Sasha can tell you more about this. And
Yeah, you left me 1 minute. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
these are the media that somehow helped us in one way or another. You also can see unit. Feminist Workshop here is this little lamp is the Ukrainian organization. We still want to make an event with in Ukrainian language based on the article. Can you move to the next slide?
Yeah, maybe give me just a second. I'll tell that the article is available in Polish. You can go to oko.press.com, and to English version you can find on the unit web page. And there is also an audio podcast on the Anarchistische podcast website, where you can also find all the
Yeah,
information.
Radio Blau. It's the community
Yeah.
radio in Leipzig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
wanted
yeah.
to quickly explain why we chose in-depth interview and what it is. So it's a qualitative research technique, and it's a very intensive individual interviews, but the number of respondents is small. Yeah, and it's mostly used with this sensitive topics when people are not comfortable talking in the group, and sometimes also used to kind of understand which questions can be asked next. So the people who read our article, probably they might use it also as an inspiration to ask more specific questions, right? So they read already what's out there, what experiences people have, and then they can narrow our very broad questions, narrow them a bit more, and know what to ask for the future journalistic work. Okay, next slide.
I would ask you to maybe just keep the time in your mind. I'm not sure how many slides.
Yeah, that's the last thing. Yeah, and intersectionality. So the probably you know what it is, but I still wrote it here what it is, so maybe you can read it. I will not read it, but just the idea, we have people who are refugees or immigrants, but also LGBT people, and then create this special situation when they are marginalized within LGBT group, but also marginalized within refugee groups, or something third, like it can create like a third situations. So the approach has to be intersectional. So we cannot really research it from one, let's say, LGBT history perspective or refugee perspective. There has to be a special combined approach. Yep, I'm done. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much. And I think that's exactly one of the challenges we always have. And I thank you very much for also giving this idea of today's challenges that people might face in their lives, especially from Ukraine. So we have 3 more groups to present. I hope we manage within 15 minutes. Let's see. And up next, I would ask Anne and Mella to present their work. The two of them have created yet another format. They've been working on a podcast, and intersection and intersectionality is just the right word for this. So floor is yours. Please go ahead, Anne and Mella.
Hi, one moment. I'm trying to share my screen and then we'll be really quick. But Marta, we love your moderation skills and we're fans. Oop, there it is. Can you see it? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we had a podcast containing of 6 episodes. We called it Queerly Beloved, and it was about Roma and Sinti resistance throughout time. And so, yeah, it was 6 episodes. We were allowed to publish it under a podcast called Freie Rede that the Taz Panther Stiftung runs. And our goal was to give an overview over the history of Roma and Sinti, And we try to do that by providing a background into two historical figures and take a closer look at the intersectionality between Roma and Sinti and also queerness. And then from a historic perspective, dive into also today's challenges and also successes maybe. And so we thought we could just give you a little more topical approach and give you a little insight to what we talked about. We started by giving like a historical background about when did Sinti and Roma came to Europe, and specifically we looked at Germany, and we wanted to show that even during the Holocaust, for example, there was an armed uprising. We wanted to show that there was resistance by Sinti and Roma against the SS, and following that, also resistance around the 1992, when the UN finally passed a resolution recognizing Roma and Sinti as an ethnic and cultural minority, which Germany then only signed in 1995. And this resolution was passed only by so much pressure from the community itself. So a big part of what our research was about is that basically anything done to recognize the struggle of Roma and Sinti was done by the community itself. And so two of the figures we looked at were Chaya Stoica. She was a Romani, a writer, a painter, and she survived 3 concentration camps alongside her mother and siblings. They once belonged to a family counting over 200 members, and they were the only survivors. As well as, and here for us it was very interesting, we looked at Suleika Aldini, who was a travesty performer and has herself said to survive a concentration camp and referred to herself as a gypsy. And so she was very interesting to us because we didn't expect to find really a person that was so much at the intersection we were trying to work towards, and it really just showed us again how hard it was to find this person. There's virtually no information on her. There's all the information we have was from an interview she gave with people from the Schwules Museum Berlin, so the Gay Museum Berlin. And yeah, for us, it was a very interesting person, and I would love to go on and on about her, but that's why there's the podcast. If you're interested to hear about her, that's where the opportunity lies. And exactly, I think. Mela, you wanted to continue from here on?
Yes, and of course, we could not speak about the research approach without Joanna Ostrowska, and we were very, very thankful for the insight she gave us and this huge, like what really made us shake our heads during the research was this huge deviation between 200,000 and maybe 500,000 victims of Sinti and Roma from the Holocaust, and it just shows how little it was ever researched and how there's almost nothing done. And we also found another person that was also the only person on the internet that was working on Suleika Aldini, and we had a moment to, we also interviewed Professor Rainer Schulze, who is a historian at the University of Essex, and described this whole strange idea of presenting these voices and this problem, which also occurred a lot, of people who are already dead and did not want it to probably be shown ever, like private archives and things like this. And Rainer Schulze was, very, very into the topic with us, and it was very nice to work with him on this. Yes, we can go to the next slide. And generally, when we wanted to give an oversight also on queer culture, or the connections between queer culture and Roma and Sinti representation in media. And that's why we also took a little deep dive of like histories like the Hunchback of Notre Dame or the Carmen opera, which are just culturally very like known pieces within our society, which also recreate these constant stereotypes, which we all have in our minds. And at the end of our podcast, our last episode, we were able to speak with Jan Jovanovic, who's a German Roma gay activist who's very present in the German media. And it was a big pleasure to, a big honor to speak with him. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to see how you brought together so many different topics within one podcast. And it's really great to have all of these episodes. I'm very happy that everything worked out in the end. So thank you very much. We already had some examples of topics that we would have today, and I would invite Julia and Gleb to present their project next, because they also took this turn of looking at queer rights today, but also history. So I'm very curious on what you want to show us today. So please, floor is yours.
Marta, thank you so much. First of all, dear friends, it's a great pleasure to see all of you once again, and we would like to thank you once again for this support and this opportunity. My name is Julia. I'm a journalist from Ukraine, and I'm here today with my co-author and colleague Gleb. He is a journalist from Belarus. So today, we want to present briefly our project titled Pathways to Recognition, the Evolution of LGBTQ plus Rights and the Institution of Marriage under Conditions of War, Authoritarianism and Democracy, Ukraine, Belarus, and Estonia as well. We look at how different political systems affects the rights of and visibility of LGBTQ plus people, which is 3 countries with very different situations now, but which were connected in the past to show how democracy, war, and dictatorship shape queer lives. I would like to emphasize that we try to look at the situation of the LGBTQ plus rights specifically through the personal stories of the people we spoke to. The article is available both Ukrainian and English and includes text, images, and a video. Gleb, please.
Thank you, Julia. We started our research by looking at history, especially how LGBTQ people were persecuted under Nazi time. And we made a video that tells the stories of Gustav Herzberg and Paul Hamme, 2 men killed.
Ula, could you please turn off your mic? Thank you.
Yeah, we made a video that tells the stories of Gustav Herzberg and Paul Hamme, 2 men who were killed during that time. Also, I'll show you like a 50 seconds of our video. It's like a sneak peek.
Привіт, моє ім'я Юлія. Сьогодні в рамках дослідження про інститут шлюбу в різних політичних умовах я розповів вам про трагічну та довго замовчувану сторінку історії переслідування ЛГБТК плюс спільноти в нацистській Німеччині. Історію, яку занадто довго намагалися забути.
Yulia, sorry,
Yes.
your microphone.
Yeah. So, but what about the current situation? The war in Ukraine has exposed the legal vulnerability of LGBTQ plus people, as the lack of legal official recognition of all same-sex unions deprives thousands of individuals of fundamental rights, such as access to medical information about the partner, ability to organize funerals, shared property, property, inheritance, etc. While efforts to legalize civil partnerships, Bill number 9103, have been initiated, they face strong opposition from conservative politicians and religious groups, citing traditional values. However, this is not about symbolism, it's about essential legal protection. With over 70% of Ukrainians supporting equal rights for LGBTQ plus people and European integration requiring legal reforms, Ukraine has begun recognizing same-sex unions registered abroad and is working on a revised, more legally nuanced draft law. Gleb, please.
Yeah, and the part about Belarus shows what can happen under a under the strict dictator regime. Same-sex marriages is banned by constitution, and in April 2024, authorities equated like homosexuality with pedophilia and necrophilia. So LGBTQ plus people can be put in jail just for showing their feelings publicly or just posting their personal photos online. And this law is used together with with state propaganda and growing censorship, including book bans and forced repentance videos. Public outings and hate speech in state-controlled media are a common thing. Uh, One of our contributors, Oleg, he's originally from Belarus. He shared his personal story publicly with his name and with his picture, even though his Instagram page was officially labeled as extremist in Belarus by Belarusian government.
Estonia is very different. It became the first Baltic country and post-USSR to legalize same-sex partnerships and after same-sex marriage. Still, legal rights do not always mean full acceptance. Our interviewee, Mark, he's a gay man from a Russian-speaking family in Estonia, says that these old Soviet attitudes are still strong in some areas of the country, especially in the eastern part near the border with Russia. And his story shows that the legal change is not always followed by social change in all areas, but at least in certain. Yeah, please.
And this slide compares these three countries. The pattern is clear. Democratic and stable countries offer more right and recognition to LGBTQ plus people. Ukraine is at war but moving forward. Belarus is going backwards under dictatorship. Estonia, as a democratic European Union country, has strong and inclusive laws. We wanted to show how not just differences, but how each system affects LGBTQ plus people lives in specific ways. So I strongly recommend to read this article and share like your opinion with us.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, we end the presentation with this thought. Marriage is more than just a legal paperwork. It's a way to be seen, to be accepted and respected. In times of war or dictatorship, being able just to laugh and be recognized becomes even more important. Laws may differ between countries, but dignity, safety, and love are human values everywhere. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think your work shows very well these personal stories that are behind these whole bigger abstract policies and things that are happening. So thank you very much. And speaking of personal stories today, I want to come to Marit and Anton for the very last project. I think it's very nice to have you in the very end because you managed to connect this whole queer history that we have with what it actually means for people living today and also bringing Polish and German perspectives into this. I'm very happy to have you bringing all of this together because, of course, we're always focusing on history, but it always has some connection to what we are experiencing today. So floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Hi, good to see you. So first I will try to say a bit about the process and then of the creating the project and then the outcome. So I think our idea was super simple. We just wanted to compare what were the strategies of self-identification of trans and gender non-conforming people in 1920s, 30s, and today. So we've gathered background and actually some of the hints and directions we've already got at the workshops. Then we found protagonists. Those were 9 people, 6 of them from Warsaw, 3 of them from Berlin. And we talked to the historians, obviously with Joanna Ostrowska, as mentioned in all of the presentations today. And then we have to decide how to create out of this material like the compelling and consistent storytelling. And I think the comparison of Polish and German history was quite easy, but I was wondering a lot how to build a bridge between the past and today, and without taking shortcuts. So when I was interviewing Joanna Ostrowska, I had a kind of enlightenment. So we've been talking about the Polish queer history and challenges that researchers face when they're trying to depict stories of people from the past who slip away from our understanding of identity. And she has said that in biographies, she's always looking for queer moments. So the places where identities collapse or branch out, or some small inconsistencies that can be treated as hints for some kind of gender confusion. And then I thought that this is how we should interview our protagonists from today. So to treat their process of understanding themselves as something that has so many layers and directions. I was also thinking about biographies as an artistic process, which is not common for journalists, but like, yeah, we were trying to experiment with storytelling. So the first part of our article is the historic background that explain main differences between Poland and Germany. So in Poland, we had community built around pleasure, or we had individual strategies of people who tried to find gaps in the system, something that made their life possible in super impossible circumstances. Whereas in Germany in the 20s and 30s, we've already had organized communities, we've had activism, and we've already have self-advocacy, so completely different contexts. And when you read those biographies from today, you can also see, well, I can also for sure see some similarities between those past strategies and also these different contexts. So in Poland, we still don't have, for example, a bill that enables us to legally change gender mark in documents, but we're using precedent to make it possible. And many of Polish protagonists were talking about finding their sense of self either in clubs or art scene. So again, you have communities centered around pleasure, not on the streets fighting or organizing. Or we had many stories about like talking about solitude or inventing or reinventing themselves on their own. And all of them were not obsessed with the labels in the culture, which is obsessed with the labels. And I find it super interesting that we can really see some other narratives that that the Western queer history is not offering us. Like I had the feeling that we are literally replacing the narrative about identities with the stories of experiences. And this is the approach that I would love to continue. And I'm super happy that we could have worked on it this way. And when it comes to challenges, like I don't want to say that we went too big, but it was definitely a huge project and it wasn't easy to publish it as a whole. So when I showed it at oko.press, first they said that they will want to divide it into 10 texts. So one with historic background, and then they want to publish each story of our protagonist separately. I managed to convince them that it makes sense to publish it as one piece. And it has been published in Poland ahead of the International Transgender Day of Visibility. And I think it has been a huge success and had a huge visibility. And we've also been able to publish only historical part in German, and it was published in Siegessäule in May. And of course, as you can see, we were also taking photos, and it has also been challenging because each of us have different and like unique visual language, but I still think it works as a whole. And yeah, and I want to give floor to Marit right now because I think I was talking a lot.
Thank you, Anton. I think, yeah, you already covered a lot of it, and I'm just going to share our very simple presentation so you can all see the images that Anton was just talking about. Yeah, so this is just like a brief summary of what you've said, and then maybe I will just go through this. Oh my God, I'm really bad at creating presentations, as you can see.
Yeah, so if you have any questions to the visual storytelling or other challenges or our workflow, like just shoot it later on.
Thank you. If it's okay for you, I would use this to move to the questions. Thank you very much. I think it's very impressive to also have these visuals in this very end of our project presentation, because of course we have two very talented photographers with you. So thank you very much for also integrating this and showing what you have been working on. As you see, there have been so many different projects, and all of them bringing lots of perspectives and using these topics that we were discussing in our workshop. And I'm so glad to see how everything turned out. It's just so rewarding to actually see what you made with what we gave you. So thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful.